A year ago, out here at the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, Medtronic, the huge medical device maker, gave what I thought was a very bullish presentation. But the market reacted negatively to some short-term headwinds. When we spoke to Chairman CEO Omar Ishrak at the time, he told us to focus on his company's incredibly bright future and not worry about the nickel or pennies that people were focused on. Fast forward to today, he clearly nailed it. Medtronic's stock has surged from the low 80s, where it was when I interviewed him last, to $117. Now, I think it's got even more upside thanks to the strength of its amazing pipeline. But don't take it from me. Earlier today, we sat down with Mr. Ishrak again to talk about the future. Take a look. Omar, this is it for you. You have done amazing things for Medtronic, but you're about to step down. What do you think your legacy will be?
Well, the most important legacy, two things I always talk about. One is the number of patients we've served. You know, last fiscal year, we served 75 million patients in 1 year. When I started, the number was more like 20 million a year. So just watching that and the impact that that has had on people is a huge thing. And I think the company is positioned to extend that further. The other and most important thing is the team in Medtronic, the people that we have there now, the leadership. I'm really thrilled with Jeff Martha and his leadership and the team below him. And what's more is that general managers that we have running these individual businesses who care and are passionate about each area in healthcare. I think if he can keep that, sustain it, and grow it, that's all I need.
Well, will he be, and I'm sure he will be, because this is in your DNA, continue the industry leadership in technology, which is how I view Medtronic?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's not just Jeff, but it's the team below him. And like I said, general managers below the business unit presidents and group managers and so on. Down in the guts of the organization, technology is the thing that drives Medtronic. There is one other aspect to the technology, though. Our technology is used purposely to what we say alleviate pain, restore health, or extend life. In other words, make an impact. So we don't do solutions per se, we address problems. And that's in the culture of Medtronic, and I think that's what separates Medtronic from other like technology companies, and one that guarantees a sustainable future.
Last year at this conference, you gave a presentation. And at the presentation, there tended to be some shade down of the nickel. The stock went from 88 to 82. Yeah. You came on this show and you said, look, this is not the way to view Medtronic. Medtronic has consistent dividend. Medtronic has consistent earnings, but Medtronic's also not afraid to fail. You go to places that nobody else will. It turned out to be an amazing buying opportunity. When will people realize that you were both inventing, not afraid to fail, and also being consistent?
That's correct, yeah, and that will continue. And I think everyone needs to understand that Medtronic has a long-term view of healthcare. We're responsible about financials. We guarantee our dividend, to that degree. We have intelligent use of free cash flow. We're interested in and committed to our returns. But at the same time, this is a long-term company. Our mission, and I'll say that again, is to use technology to alleviate pain, restore health, and extend life. That journey doesn't stop. Never stops.
You are important in two things where most people give up on, most med companies give up on. The brain with brain scan, and the back where we tend to be able to just say, let's fuse it. Yeah. You are not accepting those kinds of dictums. You're not accepting the current way that people do things with the brain in the back.
Indeed, yeah, because I do think that the neurostimulation and understanding the nervous system and how signals propagate in the nervous system and what they do is an area of understanding that's really embryonic right now, in general. And there's a lot of empirical work. People try things and some things happen and try to narrow down on that. But I think what's important is actually understanding the mechanisms of action. And that's something that Medtronic is committed to doing. This is a long-term commitment. This is not going to happen like in 1 year, but action needs to be taken every year. And the brain, the most recent product that we just launched called the Percept DBS system has a sensing mechanism for the first time. So the first time you'll actually see signals in the brain and understand when you stimulate what happens to those signals. And through that eventually actually create a closed loop system for treatment of Parkinson's and possibly essential tremor. And again, this is some years out, but we have everything in place. in real patients, in commercially available products, through which we can start their journey.
Again, going after things that others have given up on. Hypertension kills millions.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You started 10 years ago.
Yes.
Others gave up. You continue to pursue. You're not afraid to spend a lot of money on something that will not necessarily produce results in a given year.
That's right. As long as the study that we do is that, do we have a tangible and rational reason for doing it?
Right.
Time is secondary in that. The first thing is, do we understand? Is there a reason to do it? And then we pursue it. And I think the hypertension example is one of the best ones. We started that 10 years ago. There was a failed trial. But we didn't give up. We tried to understand, why did the trial fail? How can we adjust it? Is it the cohorts we're looking after? Is it the type of technology we have? Is it the administration? Is it the design of the trial? All of those were open questions. And we narrowed it down, and now we're close to presenting some pivotal trial results in March, and we'll see. It's early to kind of commit to that.
Our country is ravaged by opioid addiction. And that's because no one seems to have any solution for pain.
Indeed.
You guys are directly approaching what causes pain and dealing with it, and maybe one day ending a lot of it.
Indeed, yeah. And I think the stimulation, again, back to the understanding the nervous system, I think that's poorly understood. And pain, after all, pain is a sensation that you feel because of signals that are transmitted through the nervous system. If you can understand that, and if you can control those signals in a programmable way and in a logical way, I think at some point in the future, I know that we will address that problem. And it's not just a single shot. It's probably different types of pain require different types of management. And we're very early as a society, if you like, very early in the journey of learning that, but we are absolutely committed to that. Time, like I said, is secondary there. Understanding is primary.
Even since I saw you last, the accomplishments that you've done with robotics needs to be noted. You are also saving the system from error, saving the system from being inexact. That acquisition of Mazor paid off.
Indeed, yeah. It's only beginning to pay off. Let's put it that way.
Tell people what it's doing, where it's being used.
It's being used in major centers. The U.S. is the main area, and most major centers in the U.S., without naming any, have one of those. The desire for that is pretty high. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, what it does is it makes the procedures consistent. It gives you quantitative data as to how to manage the procedures. There's a planning aspect to this thing, which most systems don't have. And increasingly now we're integrating it with other technologies, such as our navigation system and eventually our imaging system, through which the power of that robot will really increase. But it's also important to recognize that robotics isn't a general answer to everything. The robots will be different. This is a spinal robot. We're also working on a general surgery robot. There's a cranial robot. There will be others. And just like surgeries are different procedures, robots need to be optimized to do certain things. And Mazor is our first step into it. We're delighted with the results that we're seeing. And our spine business this last year, ever since I've been here, has had its strongest year. Well, and the robot has played a big role in that.
Well, it's also mad money. You have 275% return since you came in 2011. That's a remarkable return. And I cannot stress enough that you're not afraid to fail. You're going after the big areas, and yet you're still consistent. I want to congratulate you, Omar, for doing a great job. That's Omar Ishrak. He's the chairman and CEO of Medtronic, MDT. Remarkable company. Great work in your stewardship.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.